UN peacekeepers ambushed in western Equatoria, a sign of South Sudan's deepening insecurity. September 4th, 2025, Tambura. United Nations peacekeepers came under ambush by a local armed group in South Sudan's western Equatoria state on Wednesday. The UN mission in South Sudan, UNMISS, confirmed Thursday. The attack occurred as a routine patrol moved between Tambura and Mapus, a corridor that has been a flashpoint for armed activity and intercommunal clashes. The assailants seized a small cache of weapons and ammunition before withdrawing. While no peacekeepers were injured, UNMISS described the incident as a grave violation of international law. Peacekeepers are deployed to protect civilians in areas where security remains extremely fragile. They must not be targeted by any armed group, UNMISS spokesperson Priyanka Chowdhury warned. Attacks on peacekeepers may constitute war crimes under international law. Why Tambura? Western Equatoria, particularly Tambura County, has been one of the most volatile regions in South Sudan over the past 4 years. Long-standing rivalries between the Azanda and Balanda communities, coupled with the presence of self-defense militias, breakaway armed groups, and remnants of national forces, have fueled cycles of revenge killings, displacement, and mass atrocities. Tambura became a hotspot in 2021 to 2022 when ethnically aligned armed groups, allegedly backed by elements of the SPLAIO and SSPDF, clashed repeatedly, leaving hundreds dead and tens of thousands displaced. Though the intensity of fighting has fluctuated, the region remains fragile, with small militias operating outside state control. Message to armed groups. By not naming the perpetrators, UNMISS may be signaling both caution and a desire to avoid inflaming local tensions. However, its statement underscores that any attack against UN peacekeepers is a red line that could bring international accountability. The seizure of weapons suggests the ambush may have been motivated by opportunism as much as hostility toward the UN. Yet, such incidents threaten to shrink the UN's freedom of movement in areas where its presence is critical to civilian safety. A fragile national picture. The attack comes as South Sudan is grappling with escalating violence in Upper Nile, Jonglei, and Central Equatoria, raising fears of a slide back into full-scale civil war. The 2018 revitalized peace agreement remains only partially implemented, with the unification of armed forces stalled, political mistrust deepening, and local grievances spiraling into broader conflict. For communities in Western Equatoria, the latest ambush reinforces a grim reality. Despite international peacekeepers and a peace deal, armed groups still hold sway over life and death in much of rural South Sudan. What next? UNMISS has vowed to continue robust patrols in Tambura and other hotspots, but peacekeepers face the difficult task of protecting civilians without being drawn directly into localized conflicts. Unless the government addresses root causes of violence, including communal disputes, political marginalization, and competition over resources, ambushes like the one in Tambura will remain a feature of South Sudan's fractured security landscape. Police Garlight, breaking news. Police Garlight. SPLAIO Deputy Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Peter Ruwat Chul issues strong message to forces. September 4th, 2025, Juba/Upper Nile. The Sudan People's Liberation Army in Opposition, SPLAIO, Deputy Chief of Staff for Moral Orientation, Lieutenant General Peter Ruwat Chul, has urged all SPLAIO forces across South Sudan to remain confident, disciplined, and united under the movement's leadership despite mounting pressures from the government in Juba. In a strongly worded address, General Ruwat reaffirmed the opposition's determination to continue the struggle, accusing the government of deliberately undermining the fragile peace process. No matter the challenges, our forces shall remain strong and determined. The regime is doing everything possible to confuse and derail the peace process, but let it be clear, they are the true spoilers of peace. We will overcome, Ruwat declared. The senior commander appealed to all ranks and files of the SPLAIO to remain loyal to the commander-in-chief, maintain military discipline, and avoid being swayed by what he described as the government's divisive tactics. Context of renewed fighting. General Ruwat's statement comes amid escalating clashes between the SPLAIO and the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, SSPDF, in Central Equatoria and Upper Nile states. where heavy battles have left casualties on both sides in recent days. Tensions have surged following the reinstatement of commissioners and a former governor by SPLMIO's acting chairman, Oyet Nathaniel Pirino, a move that the government army warned could trigger renewed insecurity. Meanwhile, reports of aerial bombardments in PG County, Jonglei State, and alleged attacks on civilians have deepened fears of a return to full-scale conflict, threatening to unravel the 2018 peace agreement that ended 5 years of civil war. Accusations against the government. The SPLAIO has repeatedly accused the government of dishonoring key provisions of the peace deal, including the unification of forces, power-sharing arrangements, and security guarantees. General Ruwat said the deliberate violations are evidence that the government is not interested in genuine peace. Our mission remains clear: to restore justice, equality, and true peace for all South Sudanese. We will not be distracted by intimidation or betrayal, he added. Looking ahead, with the peace process at risk and political tensions intensifying, Ruwat's message is seen as both a call for morale within SPLAIO ranks and a warning to the government that the opposition will not abandon its struggle. Analysts warn that if the cycle of violence continues unchecked, South Sudan could slide back into widespread civil war, undoing years of fragile progress. September 4th, 2025, Tamazuch. General Thomas Cirillo, leader of the opposition National Salvation Front, NAS, has confirmed the formation of a military alliance with the SPLAIO, led by acting chairman Oyet Nathaniel, while First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar remains in detention in Juba. In an exclusive interview with Radio Tamazuch on Thursday, Cirillo said the alliance was forged after government offensives displaced SPLAIO forces from cantonment sites, including bases near Juba. He rejected claims that the move could derail peace efforts, insisting that both groups were acting in self-defense against relentless government attacks. Cirillo also renewed calls for the immediate release of all political detainees, including Machar, to create a conducive environment for dialogue. Excerpts from the interview. On secret government talks during the Temani Initiative, I would like to confirm that there were no secret talks with the government in Juba while the Temani peace talks were ongoing. The last engagement was in Rome. The Nairobi talks were designed to mislead and lacked seriousness. On the failure of the Temani process and the way forward, there is no ongoing initiative for talks following the collapse of Temani. We have always called for inclusive roundtable discussions that address the root causes of the conflict, not public relations exercises. On the new NAS, SPLAIO alliance. After SPLAIO forces were attacked and displaced, NAS assisted our brothers to regroup safely. Following consultations, we agreed on a military-political alliance to continue the struggle against the regime in Juba. Our joint operations in Ye prove our commitment to liberating the country. On Dr. Riek Machar's role, in NAS, we believe in institutions, not individuals. SPLAIO remains under Dr. Riek Machar's leadership, whether in detention or not. Our cooperation is with the movement as an institution. On whether the alliance risks worsening Machar's detention, the regime continues to attack opposition forces. We have no choice but to defend ourselves and our people. The government must release all political detainees if it is serious about peace. On broader opposition unity, our strategy is to unify all opposition forces to rescue the country. We are open to working with any group that shares the goal of freedom, including those led by Pagan Amam and others. On Kuur's July call for dialogue, we are always ready for genuine talks. But Kuur's calls are misleading. Instead of peace, his government is dismantling opposition groups. We want inclusive dialogue with all stakeholders, political parties, civil society, women, and faith-based groups. On the state of South Sudan. The country is collapsing and disintegrating along tribal lines. People are suffering without food, medicine, or services. My message is this: South Sudanese must take ownership of their destiny. We need a second liberation to save our nation and achieve lasting peace. Former Security Chief General Akol Kuur released. Juba, September 4th, 2025. Reliable sources have confirmed the release of General Akol Kuur, the former Director General of the National Security Service, NSS, after months of detention. The details surrounding his release remain unclear, and as of Thursday evening, No official statement had been issued by either the government or the NSS. General Kuur, long regarded as one of the most influential figures in South Sudan's powerful security sector, was abruptly removed from his position in early 2025 in a move that surprised even senior government officials. His dismissal was followed by weeks of silence from the authorities, sparking speculation that he had been placed under house arrest or in secret detention. During his tenure as head of the NSS, Kuur was seen as President Salva Kiir's most trusted security chief, wielding significant influence over intelligence operations, internal security, and political surveillance. His removal was widely interpreted by analysts as part of a broader reshuffle aimed at consolidating Kiir's grip on power amid growing divisions within the ruling elite. Kuur's absence from the public eye had fueled rumors of internal rifts within the ruling Sudan People's Liberation Movement, SPLM, with some suggesting that his detention reflected a power struggle among senior officials. His release now raises questions about the balance of power inside the security establishment and whether his return to public life will alter the dynamics between rival factions in Juba.